knows when other witnesses or other accidents will bring the inconsistency to light, with consequent loss of credibility and damage to the speaker's moral position. And lying is unnecessary. There are many other more effective ways to transform events to achieve the desired results. These effective ways of transforming reality will be the focus of the examples to follow. The first text that I'm going to consider here is a narrative situated in a very small town in Michigan called South Lyon. It is a morality tale centered about the contrast between the irresponsible behavior of a big city lawyer in his fancy new touring car and a small town justice of the peace who has to go out and rescue a dead body. It was recorded by the anthropologist Claire Galette, who was then a student of mine in the 1973 meeting of the Linguistic Institute. The first man killed by a car in this town. Shall I tell you about the first man who got killed by a car here? Well, I can tell you that. Well, before they really had cars in town, I think it was a judge, Sawyer. He was a judge in, I understand he was a judge in Ann Arbor. He had a son that was a lawyer. And this son, I guess he must have got drunk, because he drove through town with a chauffeur, with one of those deep, big touring cars, without, open tops and everything. Big cars, open ones. And they came through town late in the night, and they went pretty fast, I guess. Come out here to the end of where a Pontiac Trail turns right or left in the road, and they couldn't make the turn. They turned left. They topped over in the ditch. Steering wheel hit this fellow in the heart, the chauffeur, killed him. And the other fellow just broke his thumb. The lawyer was drunk. They say a drunk man never gets it. Well, I shouldn't say that, maybe. I might get in trouble. At this point, I can ask you, as the audience of the narrative, to respond to the following questions, which I have posed to many other English-speaking audiences. Who was to blame for the accident? The lawyer or the chauffeur? Who was driving? The lawyer or the chauffeur? Who got killed? The lawyer or the chauffeur? Now, a cold look at the factual skeleton of the narrative leaves no doubt that the chauffeur was responsible for the accident. He was to blame because the steering wheel hit the chauffeur in the heart. So the chauffeur was driving when he went through town, went pretty fast, came to where the Pontiac Trail turns right in the road, couldn't make the turn left, tipped over. Yet here are a typical set of responses which were obtained by a class of students who read the story aloud to 54 subjects. It is startling to note that the largest number of people blame the lawyer, who was only a passenger in the car. 22 as against 17 for the chauffeur, and 6 for both. 2 subjects transferred the drunken attribute to the chauffeur. We may ask, what were the linguistic devices that led to this effect, given that the narrator preserved the basic situation as we've seen the chauffeur was driving? This slide shows how Lavandera's concern with prepositional phrases is applied to the narrative. The chauffeur, who is the agent of the action of Clause 7, appears as the object of the prepositional phrase, with the chauffeur. And the son, that is the lawyer, is elevated to the position of the subject of the verb drove. This is accomplished by use of the peculiar semantics of the English verb drive. The basic sense of drive is to cause a machine to move transversely under its own power. he drove the car through town. The secondary use of drive makes the subject the causal agent in the sense of ordering or causing others to drive in the first sense. Thus, he drove through town with a chauffeur. Contributes to the sense of agency which listeners perceive. As in, he drove through town with a car with a chauffeur.